because I'm going to be handing the ball off to you periodically and regularly as we go through the presentation. And that obviously increases engagement and commitment, and your authority is what that'll do. Makes it that much
Hey,
easier.
Doc,
Yeah.
I just got a comment. I just want to encourage the other doctors to just get to it, go through with it, because we did it this summer, and I confess I was really nervous. It was it was out of my comfort zone. But I went to all the attorneys. So, I had one turn me away. I had one say never come back. But I got down to I think it was four watching the presentation. I followed up with them, and now they're sending me patients. So it's all worth it. It's all worth it. Matter of fact, two of them sent me three apiece this month. So and that was from that one presentation you did this summer. So I just want to encourage everybody to just do it. Push past your fear and just do it, because this is about your life, your future. It's worth it. It's worth it. So I just
Hey,
want to encourage that.
yeah, I appreciate you saying that. But Chris, let me ask you, you've been doing personal injury prior to joining me. And you said you were what? I forget the word you used. Was it intimidated, or what word did you use?
When getting out there, you feel, yeah, intimidated is one of the
Is that,
words. I don't know if I use that, but you can feel intimidated, yeah.
or I
Because you
think
feel
you
like they
said,
know
I
so much
think you may
more
have
than you
said
do.
scared. Was it scared? As a little,
Scared, that's another word.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to recall what you just said. You just said, "Hey, I encourage you to do it." Even though I was a little scared, I think the word was scared or intimidated. Well, here's my question. I can understand being intimidated by a turn. I was too. I was too in the beginning. And then, but at some point you got to realize that they don't know what you know. You're the doctor, so you know the doctor part. But why were you scared or intimidated? Because it's not like you were never talked to an attorney. You talked to them, you didn't know what to say or how to say it, but you did go out and try to talk to them prior to joining me. It just didn't work. So why do you think you were scared?
I think it was because I'm doing something that I've never done before. We're like learning from you at the same time. And I'm hoping all this is gonna come together. So I'm like, I'm not 100% sure, because we were learning from you at the same time as we're preparing for this presentation. So it's like, is this stuff really real? Is this all legit? So you're dealing with that. You're talking to the attorney, and then everything you're telling us, you know so much more than them. They're going to be asking you about the cases, and you're battling with that. Is that really real? And so I had to push past that fear to say, you know what? I'm in this for a reason, because I couldn't get those results before. And this guy, you have all this experience, and so I got to take this leap of faith. And I got to tell you, I'm so glad I did, because I realized everything you said was on point. We do more, way more than they do. They are asking me now for my thoughts. What should I do with this case now, doctor? So everything you're saying at that time, in that moment, it seemed foreign to me. You know what I mean? And that's what I was dealing with. But once I got them through the presentation, I realized everything you said was right on point and accurate. But it took me to get them there, for me to experience that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So that's why I want to encourage all the doctors. All like, the listening is great, but until you actually go through it, you won't really know. You won't really have that. You need that experience to really encourage you and empower you to realize that all this stuff is legit, that you do know way more than they do. And they will have to rely upon you. They come to me now. They're like, "Hey, doc, is this a good case? We're sending it to you." And I'm just blown away by it. But everything you're saying is true. But I think, had I not gone through the hoops, I wouldn't have got that experience and realized that everything you're saying is right on point. So that's why I want to encourage the other doctors. You gotta go through this. You gotta do this, and you got to experience it so you can realize the thing that I realized and other doctors before me realized is that we do know more than they do. We do have the upper hand. We know so much more than they do, like Dr. Paul says, and it's going to really be so rewarding to you once you go through this experience.
So what I heard in a sense is you weren't ready or weren't used to the authority that you were going to be. You were actually going to be the authority, and you didn't know if that was going to happen or not.
Right.
Okay.
I'm used to being the other guy. I'm used to being on the other end. I'm used to saying whatever you tell me to do, whatever you say. Well, I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was the other way around until you told me. And when you told me, you said it 15, 20 times, 30 times. You're like, it still sounded foreign to me until I actually took them through the presentation. Then I realized, wait a minute, everything Dr. Paul is saying is right. I can't believe it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I had to take them through it though. I had to go through that journey of knocking on their doors and sharing things with them and then taking them through the presentation. I needed that. That's why I'm telling the doctors, you need this so that you can see that everything that this man is saying is on point. It's to build and encourage you, your faith, your courage. You need this.
Well,
And once you go through this experience, you're going to see how great and wonderful, how powerful you really are as a chiropractor, how you know so much more, how you're so much valuable to that case.
how many attorneys are you referring to you now?
I got 4 in that presentation. 3 of them are referring to me now. 2 of them refer me 3 apiece this month.
Right.
So
So
that's big because it was like a patient here, a patient there. One of the attorneys referred me like 3 patients in 3 years. He referred me 3 this month
right,
alone.
right.
And the other attorney was here and there, here and there. He referred me. I followed up with him on a narrative report about a month ago, and he sent me 3 new patients this month. So
Right.
I'm telling you guys, it's worth it. It's
So,
great.
so you've and you average what, $3,000 or $4,000 a case, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you've increased your business easily over 100,000, maybe over 200 or 300,000.
Yeah, yeah, and that was with the bill reduction. I was saying 3,000. I'm my cases right now between like 5 and 7,000
Right.
on average. So it's probably gonna go up more than that. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
I want to stick on this point because it's a legitimate issue that chiropractors are afraid to talk to attorneys. That's legitimate. I don't want to minimize that because it's real. I mean, I just, I just try to help the chiropractors to get over that, try to understand it and get over it. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of chiropractors that just, I hate to say it, but they'll even take my course and they'll never even give the presentation once because they're scared. So, which is a shame. But I do remember, back in the day, I was a little intimidated and scared. But it was really because I didn't know anything about the legal part. But that didn't stop me because I'm not an attorney. I'm not supposed to know the legal part. What I focused on was what I did know in the healthcare part that they didn't know. And that's why I was able to overcome my fear in other words, I was able to block out and realize that, yeah, I don't need to know all the legals. I don't have to know any of the legal stuff. I'm not an attorney. But what I do know is all these clinical biomarkers and the tests and impairments and all that. That's what I do know. And I know that that's what they don't know. And that is when I started. And I guess part of it too is I had the AMA guides behind me. That, to be honest with you, I had x-rays and I had the AMA guides behind me, and that was stronger than any attorney. I'm just sharing with you from my perspective what helped me overcome my fear initially to actually start doing sales presentations. And so I remember going to the attorney with, like I told you, I went with the MA Guides book and earmarked, and I went with x-rays so I could show them, and, because I knew they didn't know all that. And I knew that was a valuable part relative to supporting that injury award. So I didn't get myself tied into not knowing the legal part. I just needed to know the healthcare part. And I did know that. And there's no attorney that knows it better than you, especially after taking my course. So, but what was interesting with Chris, and this happens a lot of times, unfortunately. So unfortunately, a lot of times the doctors won't do the presentation because they're afraid. And by the way, that's actually the main reason that I do the live presentations to start with, is kind of to bridge that gap, is get them to see me do it and actually see it work, kind of like you. I mean, you are kind of a classic example of why I do the live educational sales presentations to your attorneys. It's to show you that, yes, it does work. And this is how it works. So that's one thing, is to actually do it. And then the other thing is that I see problems is doctors bastardize it. And you did the same thing, Chris. Remember, you started learning it, you didn't know it all, and you ran to the attorney and you half-assed it. You didn't even do a presentation. You took one topic and you half-assed it. You didn't know how to present it yet because we didn't cover it yet. And he slapped you down. And then you called me, remember that? And I said, well, you deserve to be slapped down because you did everything wrong.
You're right.
And then I told you why you got slapped down. And then I told you, actually, you did not bastardize it. We hadn't taught you yet. So you were just winging it on your own. You hadn't learned the sales presentation yet. And then when I explained the sales presentation, then you understood why you got slapped down. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, I got into an argument with one of the attorneys about I got into an argument
but that was
with attorneys about
before.
impairments.
Yeah, but that was before you learned how to do the sales presentation.
Yeah, that was before we even got to the sales
So
presentation. Yeah,
you did normal things wrong before you learned how to do sales. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And then I did the first sales presentation for you. You did the follow. You did the work to get them there. They see it. You did the follow up, and boom. What didn't that first attorney ask you to be the expert witness for his cases?
Yeah, he was already saying it right after. He was like, "You're gonna be the expert witness for my cases." He just starts saying it.
And
He saw it.
And that was the first attorney, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that amazing or what?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so amazing because I was on the other end. I'm the guy that delivers the donuts, brings the candy, trying to do all their lunches and talk about family and life and all of that. And so, but it was like at the end, we'll see some patients, and then I wouldn't hear from them. So to be on this other end, it was just like it was amazing.
Which is interesting because now you do see yourself as the authority, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, boy, what
Yeah.
And that was what, in 6 months, you went from not knowing what to say, not how to get referrals, not being the authority, to now getting attorneys left and right, increasing your business over $250,000 a year, and them seeing you as the authority, wanting you to be their expert witness. What a difference in 6 months.
Yeah, but had I had not gone through the hoops, had I not did what you said, do, went out to the attorneys, got them to their presentation, followed up with them, I would have known, I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have believed the stuff that you said. I would have heard it, but it's you know, it's it's one thing to hear it, but it's another thing to actually live it and experience it.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. All right. Well,
Hey, Paul, where did you learn about the financial drivers like you did? How did you do that?
who are you talking to?
You. I mean, you said you were learning this and you had the AMA guidebook and everything.
Well,
But
it's the
I feel like
accumulation.
that's like a huge one.
Well, it's the accumulation of everything, uh, of what creates value in a case. You know, it's the accumulation of everything. But remember, and I say this all the time, it doesn't matter if you deliver content with no sales. I say
Right.
it all the time. You can give great content and no sales, and you're not going to get much business at all. You can give bad content with great sales, you're going to get a lot of business. And of course, our goal is to have great content with great sales. That's the real goal. But remember, sales is about establishing need and minimizing the obstacles and affecting service factors. That's what sales is. Content doesn't do that. And so I'm real clear in separating the two, because again, if you just pay attention to content, you're screwed. You're screwed. So we cover that when I cover sales, but really the point of this conversation is the fear. There's so many people that are, that are just afraid to approach an attorney, even after they've gone through my course and learned all this. And I'm like, it just baffles me. It just baffles me, because I try to help overcome that so you can have success and be the authority and get all the cases. And now they're chasing you instead of you chasing them, because that's the way it should be. But only sales does that. But you have to know the content and sales. So that's why I started doing the live stream presentations, to make it easier for you guys to be more successful, for you to see it and not have to carry the whole ball the first time. That's the main reason I did that. And then the other common mistake that I do see is when doctors do apply it, they'll bastardize it. They'll bastardize and take a piece of the sales. So anyway, thanks for that insight, Chris. But it's like, I say it all the time. It's like just getting a rake and going out in your front lawn and just raking up the money. It literally is just like that. You're just raking up the money. They don't know what they don't know. You have to know all the steps and the basics. But man, as soon as you apply it, it's Katie bar the door. Like now, Chris, how on a scale prior to the presentation, right? On a scale of 1 to 10 with being afraid, you were probably what?
Before the presentation, yeah, I was up there. 7. It was like a 7. I mean, I know I can talk to attorneys. It was the content, what I
Yeah,
was
and
presenting to
that's
them.
why I was a little confused, because you did talk to
Yeah.
well, there's guys that don't even talk to attorneys at all. I mean, they got there's some real issues going on there, but you at least talked to them. You just said the wrong thing. So now on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with your uncomfortableness of doing a sales presentation?
Oh, it's so low. It's so low. It's ridiculous. And I think talking to recently when I did this presentation, actually did the sales presentation to a B attorney who's a part of the Trials Lawyers Association, and getting them through that and realizing he thought he knew everything. He thought, hey, Doc, you're going to just tell me how am I going to make all this money? And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm actually going to tell you how to stop losing money, how to stop getting lowball offers. And then the next 5 minutes of him being quiet and actually listening to everything I said, I'm telling you, that had me on such a on like cloud 9. And from that point on, I knew, I was like, hey, I feel like I can almost go to any attorney now
Right.
and do a presentation to him. That was great.
Yeah. So you got over that hump. Now it's just application and volume. That's like now you got to learn how to hire and train associate doctors now.
It's a good feeling.
Put the systems in place to process the business. So, but anyway, yeah, thanks for that insight. All right. Any other comments or questions before we wrap it up?